Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to the Merriment Making Podcast. I am Mary, Uncustomary England, here to help you reconnect with your joy, embrace your unique weirdness, and live a life full of celebration and confidence. Before we dive into today's episode about the Inner Critic Trap, I have an exciting announcement. My Feel Good Troop membership that is packed with 50 masterclasses, including one specifically about taming your inner critic, really about loving it. It's a little counterintuitive, but maybe we'll talk about that today here. For the month of December, I am giving you special prizes if you are a new member. So it's different prizes and bonuses depending on when you join, whether you decide to sign up for the Feel Good Troop membership or the Merriment Makers membership. There has never been a better time to say yes to yourself. So what a better New Year's present, holiday gift for yourself, or just, hey, celebrating yourself now. So if this sparks your interest, stick around. I will share more details at the end of the episode, or you can just go to uncustomary.org now. But let's talk about today's episode, what we're going to talk about. So today we're going to talk about the inner critic. This is something that we all face, that voice, the one that's whispering, you're not enough. Who do you think you are? And that's really tough to deal with. And the thing is that you don't have to believe everything that it says. And today we're going to explore how to even just recognize this voice, understand where it's coming from, and practice soothing it with kindness and grounding. So hopefully by the end of this episode, you feel empowered to respond to that critical voice with love rather than letting it control you. So take a deep breath with me and let's begin. About you, but my inner critic is sneaky. It's not always shouting at me. It's not always this other JD from Scrubs dialogue with pictures, and it's very clear that it's not me. It's whispering. It's insidious. It can show up as second guessing myself, comparing myself, telling me that, just being stuck in this fear of failure or a fear of success or procrastinating. And what's extra tricky is that it often sounds like my own voice. It sounds like the truth. It sounds like what I believe, my own values. So if it's saying I'm not good enough, that just kind of feels like a fact, right? But the thing is that it's not a fact. It's a thought. And it's usually a conditioned thought and response from past experiences, past fears, past perfectionism, past conditioned responses. So let's just start off with this grounding exercise to help you kind of start noticing your inner critic, because the awareness, the noticing of it, we can't really do anything with it until we are aware that it's there. So next time a critical thought arises, we have to begin to pause. Really just become critical ourselves of every single thing that we're asking, that we are thinking, that we are doing. Become a little bit of a detective, okay? And say, what is that? Is that thought me? Or is that even helping? Is this helping? Is this hurting? And then try to write down the thought. And I know that sounds insane. I know we're all very busy. But if you are journaling, or if you have something that you're thinking right now, like right now, if you're listening to this right now, what is it that you are worried about? Let's take this time right now. What is it that you're worried about? What is it that you believe? What is it that you want to do but is holding you back? What is it that you feel small about? What is it that you don't feel good enough about? What is this thought? And I want you to write it down. And this kind of act of writing creates a little bit of a space between you and the thought. And it can kind of help you see that it is what it is. It's words, right, in this moment. And using logic to create an understanding of these words and say, is this me? Is this helpful? I want you to start doing that. And we go deeper into that in the Feel Good Troop, in the Merriment Makers. But I want you to start doing that. I want you to start becoming aware of it. But first, let's go a little bit deeper and take a look at why the inner critic is here, because it definitely did not pop out of anywhere. And understanding where it's coming from can help you. We have to have the theory in order to move through into the tangibility. So the critical voice is usually rooted in something that we've experienced, learned, absorbed over time. It's a compilation of a bunch of things. It's like a montage reel, like a tumbleweed that's been rolling through your life, picking up crap all over the place. And for many of us, it starts really early, really young. You're like we talk about how kids are sponges, and you were sponging things up before you even remember. And if you grew up in a place, an environment where perfectionism was celebrated, mistakes were not seen as places or opportunities to grow, but you were shamed for those things, then yeah, maybe you are going to have a conditioned response and an inner critic voice that is going to tell you you're not good enough. What you're doing is not good enough. Or maybe you had somebody in your life who was always critiquing you and berating you and using that criticism as their way of love. So they thought, as a way to, quote, like, help you improve. And even if the intent was positive or it wasn't even feeling traumatic, the effect can just be long lasting. These external voices become, part of us. They become internalized, and they shape the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we act, the way that we feel, the way that we believe our own lives need to operate. And the way that we speak to ourselves shapes so much. So if you were a kid and you tried your best on, a school project and someone said, why didn't you just do it like this? It messes up your confidence. You might not even remember the specific incident, but your brain logged it as this lesson. You were like, okay, don't do it like that. Don't be weird. Don't go extra. Don't put glitter on it. Don't do that. Don't mess up, really. Don't mess up. Because if you do that, you're going to be criticized. And it's the same with yelling. It's the same with any kind of critique, because that's not really what we want. And it's not that we can't understand criticism. It's just that maybe the way that it was delivered when we were so young wasn't maybe the best. So if we fast forward into adulthood, your inner critic has turned that into, you're just never going to be good enough, so why bother? So the inner critic kind of sticks around, and that's the wild part. The thing is that they're like just part of you. We have parts in our minds. We have a manager part that's helping you to kind of, organize your life. You have an advocate part. You have a lover part. You have, different parts of you. And, those kinds of personalities show up, but you also have an inner critic part. And the really interesting thing is that all of these parts have been here with you the entire time that you have been. And they're really not trying to be a jerk to you. They're not. That's just like the only things that they have experienced has been the criticism, the critique, the bullying, the trauma. So if you think about it like that, you can say like, oh man, all that they've gotten to see like through my whole life has been through the lens of criticism. That sucks. Like, of course they're angry. The only thing they have to talk about to me is that I'm not good enough. That's the only thing that they know. So their version of talking to you is trying to protect you. It's like a very clumsy, rude way, but they're not really trying to ruin your life. It's this protection mechanism, like a bodyguard. They just see danger everywhere. So if you ever thought like, I shouldn't speak up because I don't want to embarrass myself, that's them. That's them being like, okay, dude, this is not the right time. So it's actually, sometimes it's good, right? Your inner critic can be very helpful. Sometimes people like me don't have a very good inner critic. and we speak up way too often. And we need more of a filter, right? You can think about it like that. But sometimes it's so loud and it's so specific, it ends up not helping you. It ends up holding you back from really many opportunities, any opportunities for growth and joy and connecting with people. And I just want to let you know that it's a part of you, but it's not the whole part of you. It's important to recognize that this voice is not the definition of you. It's a survival mechanism. It's helpful. It's just like fear, right? Like we're taught, you hit the stove and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to touch that again. Yeah, you need to be able to discern between, I'm not going to speak up because I shouldn't embarrass myself. And yeah, it's really good to be able to put the finishing touches on this project because that's going to help me get a better grade and it's going to help me impress my boss because then I can move up in the ranks because that's part of a goal that I have, right? Because I want to make more money. But it's not because you have to always be the best or be perfect, because if you don't, your life is ruined. There's a difference between those things, you know? And the survival mechanism inside of you, the inner critic, has just become a little loud. It's become a little overactive. The same like how I have OCD. Like for so many years, that voice, the OCD voice, was just blasting in my head. It was the only thing I could hear. So I did this, sensitivity immersion and exposure therapy with it. And I just kind of blasted myself into it and came out the other side having so much more space. And that's what you can do with your inner critic. You can retrain it. You can retrain it like a muscle. So let's practice understanding a little empathy for your inner critic. I know it can be tempting to just shut it down completely and be angry with it. I have been there. But I really just want you to understand, one, that if we avoid something or if we shut anything down, it just becomes like an abscess, okay? If I had tried to shut down the OCD thing, it would have just powered through and it would have been even stronger, okay? We don't want to put it in a box in a corner because it will grow into something weird. Your inner critic is just like it's a small scared kid who just wants to keep you safe. All they've heard are the mean things. So it's tugging on you, on your sweater, and it's being like, don't go out there. It's risky, okay? So instead of you like, saying, no, shut up. You're an ass. Like, don't ignore it. Don't yell at it. What if you kind of like, what is it? Stooped down? Like a catcher? What is that called? I can't even think of it. Crouched? Is that it? Crouched down? Kneeled down? We could have just said kneeled. And said, thanks for caring. I really love that you care. Thank you so much for looking out for me. But you know what? I can do this. I got this. I can totally understand the nuances of this now. I am strong. And I can handle this. So approaching the inner critic with compassion instead of hostility is really the third step. So we have first, just the awareness of the fact that it's happening. Second, understanding why. And then third is having empathy for it. And then from there, we can start to shift our relationship with it. And the goal isn't to silence it, but to lower its volume and let it know that we are in charge, and to maybe even with this relationship, give it some insight to the good things that are happening, to the strength that you do have. Give it another lens. Give it some information. Maybe it can't see with its eyes, if we're imagining it. Maybe the inner critic is blind, but it can hear, right? So we're saying, okay, listen, I know you can't see all the good things that are happening out here, but I'm going to tell you that I am strong. And other people have told me that this is happening too. Like these are all the really good things in my life. These are all my strengths. And I know that you're worried about these bullies from the past, but they're actually not here anymore. I know you can't see that, but they're not here, So research shows us that our brains are really wired for negativity. We have a negativity bias, which means that we are always more attuned to threats and criticism than positive experiences. It's just our instincts. We needed to be hyper aware of danger to stay alive. And that's really just what this is. But we just don't need that same hyper vigilance anymore. And the inner critic just hasn't caught up. So I just want you to stay chill with your inner critic. And let's try closing your eyes and picturing your inner critic. And it's not as like a big scary monster. Maybe it's something small. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it's fuzzy. Maybe it's a cartoon. Maybe it has those little heels from Roger Rabbit. And it's like nervously pacing back and forth, and you hear the little clicks. And I want you to like pick it up. Imagine holding it in your hands, and you're like, hey, I see you. Thank you for looking out for me. You know what? I got this now. And just feel in your body how it feels to shift from frustration to kindness and empathy. As a caregiver and a change maker, you know you can do this. And this small practice and shift can really make a big difference to how you approach your own thoughts. So, other than that shift, you can do things like you can name it. You can imagine what it looks like, and then you can name it. You can call her Critical Carol, or just a name you don't like. Or you can just name it like Inner Mary, you know, like something. But you could also name it something funny, you know, like Dazula. I don't know. Something silly. Beetlejuice. Just something that makes it less intimidating and more manageable. The second thing is to talk back with kindness. When you hear yourself saying, that's not good, you're not good enough, or you have to finish this, like this is not good enough, that's too weird, don't do that. Or you start noticing behaviors that you're doing, like needing to finish something, or whatever it is that you are doing that is like in alignment with the thoughts of your beliefs of I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or I'm too much, or all those things. Say back out loud if you can, I hear that, but I am enough, just like I am. And you can say it to them too. You are enough too. And try to do it like you're talking to a person. Try to do it like you're talking to a friend. And remember the visualization of like, the third thing is like remembering a visualization of going down, crouching down, kneeling down to that small creature, the cartoon or whatever you thought of. And like they're tugging on you and they're really nervous. And you can do anything that feels really cozy. You can kind of maybe wrap them up. You can pick them up. You can put them in a warm blanket. You can burrito them, put them on the couch and be like, you know what? You stay here. I got this. You can take the night off. And you can also do affirmation work, mirror work, EFT. You can create affirmations that are like, I am learning, I'm growing every single day. I do not have to be perfect to be worthy. Perfect's not even a thing. You can repeat them every day, especially when you're not feeling overly critical, because that is like helping to rewire your subconscious. And, you know, we don't, what is the phrase? We don't rise to the occasion, we like fall to our training. I can't think of the right phrasing, but it's basically like you're only gonna be as good as you can practice to be. So if you have these affirmations in your subconscious, it's going to be really helpful for you. And tapping them in with a somatic or doing mirror work is very, very helpful as well to kind of really get them into your brain. And it's okay if they don't feel true when you say them. It's okay to be a little delulu about it. They're supposed to be like that. And gratitude is very helpful. When the critic you feel is getting really loud, pause and say 3 things that you are grateful for in this moment. It'll shift this situation so that you're focusing on something different, but also so that you are aware of like what it is that I don't know. So, I mean, I guess you can do it so that you're shifting what's going on in the moment, but I think you can also think about like making a gratitude list about your inner critic. I think that'd be cool. Gratitude really just shifts your mindset and anchors you in the here and now. Okay, so that's everything for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and I hope that you are feeling more ready to approach your inner critic with compassion and kindness. And before I go, I want to remind you that there are so many incredible resources waiting for you inside the Feel Good Troop membership and the Merriment Makers membership. In the Feel Good Troop, which is always affordable, there is an archive of over 50 masterclasses designed to support your joy and self-love and mental health, including a powerful class specifically about being your inner critic advocate. So we do this, I teach this as dressed up as Mr. Rogers, and it's super cute. And then you also get access to live group coaching sessions, worksheets, guides, and so much more. And the best part is for the month of December, I'm offering a special bonus to all of the new members. So if you decide to join, you're going to get a different prize, whether it's a private pep talk, a coaching session, I don't know. There's a mystery bonus depending on when you join. So if you're ready for your, joy transformation, the Merriment Makers membership includes everything in the Feel Good Troop plus 1,500 more resources, snail mail surprises, good news texts, so much more stuff. So I just want to remind you that there's always community. If you're looking in the right places, you don't have to do this alone. And we're here to uplift you and celebrate your growth. And you can check out the links in the show notes to learn more and claim your December bonus before it's gone. Or you can just go to uncustomary.org and look under the memberships. But as always, I would love to hear your thoughts on today's episodes. I love that you can add comments now on Spotify. I think that's super cool. And you can also leave me a 5-star review. That always makes me very happy. And you can share with me on Instagram at merrimentmaker to let me know which one of these things is like the most helpful for you or you're going to move forward with in terms of your inner critic. Maybe try one this week. And until next time, remember that you have to feel good to do good. Keep embracing your weird, spreading kindness, and making space for joy. Take care. I will talk to you so soon.